Good morning and welcome to Black Mental Health Matters. Today, we will be discussing the importance of sleep and rest in maintaining holistic mental health. Joining me today is Esther Bikoba.
Hello.
And as I said, we will be dealing with Black Mental Health Matters and the topic, the importance of sleep and rest in maintaining holistic mental health. Good morning, Esther, and welcome.
Hi, Sonia. Good morning. Thank you.
Esther, I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about yourself, who you
Mhm.
are, where you live, and what is your specialty in terms of mental health wellness.
Yes. Yes. So I am Esther. I graduated in 2021 from university. My major was psychology. My minor was sociology. I took a psychology of sleep and dream class in my final year of college. So that was really exciting. And we just learned like a lot of different tips about, how to maintain good sleep and all that sort of stuff. I'm currently based in Sacramento, California, and I call myself a mental health, like someone who's just really passionate about mental health. So I'm just really excited to be here and just, to discuss this topic with you because I think it is really important. And yeah, I'm looking forward to, delve into these questions.
So I'm going to ask my first question. What really is sleep? What is sleep? What is it that?
Yeah, for me, I think of sleep as just like, you're active during the day, you're at work, you're doing all these things, and sleep is really when your body just gets that time to just rest and, heal. And you need that time to just like restore, like basically balance. And when you don't get enough sleep, that balance can be thrown off. So I think that, sleep is just a time for your body to just, yeah, really rest and relax and just give you a break from the craziness that is that is your life when you're awake. So that's what I personally think of sleep as.
Okay, awesome
Yeah.
response. Yes, a time of rest when the body says,
Yes,
I've had enough of all that activity. I'm
exactly.
taking a break. There's cells in here that need to be restored,
Restored, exactly.
replenished. Some of them need to be dumped as well. So I need to go back to the origin of my personal wellness in terms of the
Hmm.
body. That's the body saying I need some wellness time, some me time.
Exactly, me time,
so
exactly.
so while you're in there thinking I'm gonna run you around and do all this stuff, I'm saying no, I
Hmm.
need some me time.
Hmm.
So with that, I'm gonna go and to my next question, which is how does sleep affect our mental health
Yeah.
and
So
well-being?
exactly. So I think that it's sometimes tricky because, they advise, like, especially with depression, anxiety, which are two very, very common mental health disorders that are really prevalent, like worldwide. So they say that, when you have depression, when you have anxiety, you're supposed to be getting enough sleep to be able to, just kind of like, I guess, like counteract the effects of those disorders. But sometimes when you have those disorders, it can be harder to fall asleep. Especially when you have anxiety. For me, I have anxiety as well. So it's like you start thinking late night about like this and that and like all these little things. And then that can like just cause your brain, when it's supposed to like be calming down, it can cause your brain to just be very, very active and just like not put you in a state of mind where you're supposed to be resting and just like preparing your body to sleep. So I think that sometimes it's tricky, but it definitely can have negative effects on those disorders as well. So it's kind of like a tricky situation, but I think especially as well, when you don't get enough sleep, it can cause you to be really irritable and just like very grumpy and moody. And that can definitely like impact your social relationships. Like, people may not want to be around you because, you could be meaner than you attend to. So I think that those are just like some effects, but Yeah, I just think that it's a tricky conversation, especially for people who have depression, anxiety. It could be harder for them to get the sleep that they need because, because of their disorders, it could be keeping them up late at night. So,
Okay. I would
yeah.
like to ask more about that
Mhm.
disorder, suffering from anxiety and staying awake. What would cause you? I mean, this may not be the right question. What would
Mhm.
cause you not to sleep because you're anxious? I
Yeah.
would think that if you stay in depression or something like that, that you would just want to spend the day curled up in bed and do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, especially for people who have generalized anxiety like GAD. I have generalized anxiety, and it's just like you could just be, you want to go to bed and then you just think about, oh, like I have this tomorrow, and then oh, I have that tomorrow, and then it's just like piling up, and then you just feel very overwhelmed, and then you just like almost sometimes it can even trigger like a panic attack because you're just thinking too much and just like ruminating about like all these things that you have to do. And just like instead of spending that time sleeping, you're spending this time thinking about all these things, and that can just definitely cause insomnia and just like not you're not able to get the sleep that you need and the rest that you need.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is that overthinking your challenges in life.
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking of all the things you have to do, but what about the person who's saying, "Oh, all these bills are piling up.
Yeah, exactly.
My children can't go to school. I have no food in the cupboard.
Yeah.
Uh, I have a medical issue," and So you're saying that overthinking issues like that
Yeah. And they
can
could
cause you
even
to lose sleep.
yeah, they can even be like so like minuscule. They can range from minuscule to like even like bigger, and it's just like anything really, and then you just start thinking about that, then it's like you're setting yourself up for failure because you're thinking about that, you're putting yourself in that mindset, and then these things just start piling up, and then it's like a snowball effect, and then as soon as you know it, it's like 3 a.m. You have to be up like at 8 a.m. for work, and you're just like you're not giving your body the rest that you need, and you won't be productive the next day at work. Your focus won't be there. That's like another thing, like cognition, alertness, attentiveness. When you don't get enough sleep, like that just totally puts everything in the trash in terms of like productivity.
Okay, understand that because
Yeah.
I, for one, think that when you have a healthy staff, both physically and mentally
Mm-hmm.
healthy staff, that there's more productivity within the corporate environment.
Exactly.
But I don't
Exactly.
think a lot of companies pay attention to the mental health of staff. I don't think that that happens.
Yeah.
Um, and that's me saying I don't know for sure, don't have any facts on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that when people start to behave a little off, they are shunned or they're just deemed to, oh, she's just behaving bad or he's just behaving bad. And that's it.
Yeah.
Full.
Exactly. And like I live in California. Like we have so many people that commute like an hour, 2 hours, they have to wake up even earlier. And so they're not getting as much sleep as, people who live closer to wherever the workplace is. So I think that it can definitely impact, productivity and alertness and everything like that. And it just, you won't be as effective or efficient in your work. So I think it's definitely a thing to look at. And the school district that I went to when I was like in elementary school and middle school and high school, they like pushed for students to have like a later start date for school so that we could get more sleep, because they did see that productivity, efficiency, effectiveness, that all that all correlates with sleep, and when you don't get enough sleep, that just basically goes down the toilet.
It's true. And I'm thinking of my own life, and I have often put this down to menopause, that those
Mm.
periods where I cannot sleep.
Mhm.
And no matter what happens, it's just this burst of energy where I
Yeah.
can go from one day into the next without sleeping. But I
Mhm.
always say, well, it's probably just menopause.
Mhm.
At
I
least that's
see.
what I tell myself, because I don't want to admit that, I may have some other issues going on, like
Hmm.
um financial challenges, relationship challenges,
Hmm.
challenges with mom, getting my daughter's education. I may not want to admit that I'm having other underlying challenges. So I say, this is probably just menopause, and this is why I can't,
Mm,
because the hormones in the body have changed, and therefore I'm
yeah,
not doing. But it could be any other factor. Things are not going
yeah.
right in my life.
Yeah, I think that when we're talking about this, I'm not sure about the research like on the correlation between menopause and sleep, but I think that when we're looking like just at sleep as a whole, and just like anything as a whole, like it's never just one thing. It's like multiple factors like compounding together. So like maybe it could be menopause, maybe it could be, thinking about like the financial stuff and everything like that. So it could be like multiple factors, like just like contributing together to to form that lack of sleep and everything like that. So a lot of the times, like, yeah, when we're talking about like disorders and stuff, like it's never just one thing, but just like multiple things, like acting together.
So how do we identify as a person, as an individual? How do I identify the key thing that is keeping me awake at night? If you're saying it could be any of these factors or combination, but
Hmm.
if I really wanted to understand what is going on with my body, what's going on in my mind,
Yeah.
how is there a way to identify that, to say, okay, like when you go to the doctor for allergy tests, they can say, well, you're allergic to this, you're allergic to that. Is
Hmm.
there a test that you can take to say, okay, this is what's causing you not to sleep at night?
Hmm. I think that there's like different ways that can test it. So it's always recommended, even though that I know that it's easier said than done. It's harder to put into practice, but it's always recommended to try to go to sleep and wake up at the same time. So just like put your body, like like a circadian rhythm, like your biological clock, basically just like the ability to have like your body wake you up at a specific time. And it's actually not recommended to use any like alarm clocks or anything like that, because that can jolt you out of sleep. And that momentary jolt out of sleep, like that spikes your blood pressure, making it like a little bit high in that instance. And it's just over time, it's not healthy for your heart, essentially. That's what we learned during my psychology of sleep and dream class that I took in my last year of college. So you're not supposed to use any alarms. And like, I know that I still use alarms because, my sleep schedule is very just, it changes, it changes so often. But you're just supposed to put your body into like a natural rhythm and be able to wake up at the same time, fall asleep at the same time. I think like even just like not having any screens like in the last couple hours before you fall asleep, like not being on your phone, not being like not watching TV, not using laptop, any other like devices like that. And just like just putting your body in like a calming state of mind, like maybe even like meditating before sleep, practicing mindfulness. For me, sometimes like I like to fall asleep to noise. So sometimes like I just put on like white noise. Like me personally, I like the sounds of like waves crashing on the beach. I like rain, like a stormy night, like rain, thunder, lightning in the background. Those are things that I fall asleep to. So just like calming things that you like. Some people even they put on like instrumentals, like their favorite movies or like TV shows, just things that can put them in a relaxing state of mind, and just try to avoid things that can cause your brain to be very active, and just allow yourself to just calm down in those last couple hours before you fall asleep.
I know as a child growing up, one of the last things we did before going to bed was to pray.
Oh
That
yes,
was
same
our
here.
routine. you
Hmm.
had to say the Lord's Prayer every night before going to bed.
Yeah,
And if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is that you're using music to calm your body down, but you can
yeah.
also use meditation to calm the mind down, bring the mind to that state of rest.
Hmm.
And I think that once the mind is relaxed, the
The
body
body.
relaxes.
Exactly.
So there's that mind and body connection always at play, bringing things into balance. So if
Exactly.
you don't have a lot of activity in the brain, so if you can just close off the thinking at night and
Hmm.
just relax,
Hmm.
go to bed, sleep. One of the
Hmm.
other things I wanted to ask is, does the position that you sleep in affect your sleep rhythm? There's some schools of thought that talk about, your head should be in this direction and your feet in this direction, and you know, something to do with the polarity of the earth. If it's not an area that you're familiar with, I will understand.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think from my personal life because, like, for me, I can sleep basically in any position, but the position that I hate the most is sleeping like directly on my back, like just on my back like that. I hate that position. So usually I'm off to one side, like I'm sleeping on my stomach, or like I'm laying on like my hand, like my arm like that. So I'm not completely familiar on like sleep positions and how they affect your sleep, but I think it's just like whatever is comfortable for you. I think whatever comes naturally for you, and I think you should be fine. Personally, that's what I think personally, but I'm not completely sure on the research there.
Well, I'm just saying because there's so much information out there,
Yeah.
and I know I came across, and this is when I was studying massage therapy at one stage of my life, that
Mm.
there's a position. I don't remember if you sleep on the left, if you sleep on the right. A lot has to do with blood flow.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't remember
Circulation.
all of it, but yeah. So that was part of the question. And
Yeah.
then I know in Islam, your feet are not supposed to point towards Mecca. I think that's
Oh.
what they say. So
Oh.
there's so many different traditions with how do you sleep? Do you sleep with your
Hmm.
feet to the north, your head to the west? Oh,
I
because
think it's. Oh, sorry.
and
Keep
it's
going.
a lot has to do with the Earth's magnetic field and how it interacts with our bodies, how our bodies
Mhm.
interact with it rather.
Yeah, I think it's one thing to, fall asleep in one position, but it's like, will you wake up in that position? Because like me personally, I toss and turn a lot, and like people have told me like, oh my God, like you toss and turn so much. So it's like I change like positions when I'm sleeping a lot. So even if like if me personally, if I were to take advice, it's like if they were like, oh, like hypothetically, like falling asleep on your left side, will have you have like a better night's sleep. It's not guaranteed, it's not certain that I will wake up on my left side. I'll probably wake up on my stomach or on my right side. So,
One of the things I've come across in some African traditions is, and they don't sleep on their back totally. Those kind of little blocks for the neck to rest in while sleeping.
hmm.
And as I'm speaking to you, I'm thinking of the Amerindian tribes who slept in hammocks. And
Oh,
there's not
yeah.
a whole lot of room in a hammock to twist and turn unless you end up
Hmm.
on the ground. So
Mm.
I think that sleeping positions are also important in terms of the body flow, the connection to the earth and the
Yeah.
earth's magnetic field. I think that that is all connected
Hmm.
to our state of well-being, because if you're sleeping in a position that does not allow the blood to flow through the brain and the heart and to circulate
Yeah.
correctly, I think that that is going to affect your mental well-being. Because
Hmm.
if the brain isn't being oxygenated enough, something
Yeah.
is going to, you're going to be, as you said, grumpy, crabby. It
Yeah.
affects you. And if you're doing that too often, I haven't done the research on this, but I'm
Hmm.
wondering if you do that too often,
over
would
time.
it not lead to a mental breakdown of sorts because you're starving the brain at night of
Mm,
oxygen
mm,
based on the position that you're sleeping in, and it's not circulating properly?
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's food for thought. It's definitely something to think about, and I definitely do want to research more on this topic.
Yeah, and I would encourage persons who are viewing to also do some more research in
Hmm.
terms of how the position that you sleep in can affect your brain activity and therefore affect your mental well-being.
Yeah.
And on that subject, now let's talk about sex and sleep. Does
Hmm.
sex really help you to relax and get a good night's sleep?
Yeah, I think I was reading some research that it was saying like if you like achieve an orgasm, that just like again like we were talking about putting your mind into like a sense of relaxation and rest, what's needed for your body to just like cool down and put you into the mentality of just like being ready to sleep, like slowing down like the heart rate and just like lowering the blood pressure and everything like that. So I think that there is research out there that shows that like an orgasm and like in having sex before sleep is beneficial. And I think for a lot of people, and especially in like if you look at if you look like stereotypes in like film and like TV shows, it's like they have sex and then like immediately after like they go to sleep. So I think that even though it is in film and TV, I think that there is some truth to it because it's basically it is a workout. Basically, it is a
But
workout.
can it not also release hormones that might increase your alertness and make it hard for you to sleep?
I think there is a possibility that it could, but I think that especially if there is like an orgasm like achieved, then it could put your body like into like a state of
Until,
like,
yeah, because it will
yeah,
help to
enter,
release that stress. Yes,
yeah,
it does release stress.
yeah,
What
definitely.
about the use of marijuana and alcohol to get you to sleep?
Yeah, so I don't. I personally, I'm not familiar too much on marijuana and sleep, but I do know with alcohol. Like a lot of people think that, oh, they have like a glass of wine before bed. Oh, it helps me to sleep. That's like a common myth, but alcohol can actually be very disruptive to your sleep pattern. And like earlier, we were talking about circadian rhythms and your biological clock. Trying to wake up at the same time every day, go to bed at the same time every day. And alcohol can really disrupt that. It can make you oversleep, it can make you undersleep, it can disrupt the REM stage of sleep. So a lot of people think that, oh, let me have a glass of wine, let me have, whatever alcohol of preference before bed, but it can really disrupt your sleeping patterns. So it's very important to be cautious and not to do that immediately before bed if you want to, have that consistency of falling asleep at the same time and waking up at the same time. So,
Okay.
hmm,
And you say you don't know enough on marijuana to speak on that, and that's fair.
hmm,
I respect you on that. But I know that, I mean, I live in the Caribbean, I live on an island, and rum is I don't want to say a staple for everyone,
hmm,
but I know that a good rum and coke can really knock you out if you have the
yeah,
ratios right. More rum than coke. You can really, feel the effects of it. It can really give you that state of relaxation. You
yeah,
feel a little mellow. You're not drinking to get tipsy. You just feel a little mellow. But I'm not advocating for the use of alcohol because some people can become dependent on alcohol.
exactly, yeah,
And hearing you say it can do all these harmful things, and I'm like, I like a
yeah,
little alcohol, you know. And while we're on subject, let's go to melatonin. I know some people don't produce enough of this, and I think that may contribute to lack of sleep, insomnia,
Yeah.
but you can get supplements. Would you advocate for supplements, melatonin as a supplement to help you to sleep, or the other harsh drugs that you can take?
Yeah, I think that it's tricky, and I don't want to advocate for something without knowing like people's like health background, and before consulting with your doctor. I think that those are all really important to do, but like essentially, melatonin is the hormone that's released in your body that makes it easier for you to fall asleep. And yeah, there are some people who at night they're not producing enough melatonin, then that's what results in like insomnia and everything like that. I personally myself, I've never taken melatonin, but I have people in my family who suffer from insomnia and do take melatonin from time to time, and it sometimes it works for them, sometimes it doesn't work for them. But I think it's just important to consult with your doctor and see what works best for you. Seeing like I think that it's always important to try, before we get into like trying like, products and everything like that, trying things that you can like lifestyle changes that you can make in your own life, like we talked about, like practicing mindfulness, meditation, avoiding blue lights, in the last couple hours before you fall asleep, praying, spirituality, all those types of things. So trying those things before you try, like products and everything that help you sleep, because I think it's just always important to see different ways that you can tweak your lifestyle, and any change that you can make there before you move on to any like medications. Well, yeah, medications or supplements or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about meditation, but I think that in some cultures we've taken a bit too much caffeine. I can go through at least 5 to 6 cups of tea a day.
Oh.
And yeah, I love tea. I love
Mhm.
coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I try not to use a lot of coffee because the acid,
Hmm.
but I can go through several cups of tea a day. And as I'm speaking to you, I'm thinking maybe that's why I don't sleep a lot, because I
Mm.
consume a lot of caffeine throughout the day. The tea is, yeah, tea is it for me, lots of tea. So
Yeah, and the tea is caffeinated.
yeah, so I think that that too may contribute to a
Yeah.
lack of sleep for some people.
Yeah. I
Mm.
think that I think that it's okay, because we learned about this in my psychology of sleep and dream class. I think it's okay to drink, coffee and tea and everything like that, but there's like a particular number of hours before you're planning to go to bed, that you should not consume any caffeine or tea, or yeah, any caffeinated beverage before you're trying to fall asleep. I forgot how many hours exactly before, but yeah, there is a particular number of hours that you're supposed to give yourself time after, drinking caffeinated beverages, if you're planning to fall asleep, that you're just not supposed to drink any caffeine.
Okay, so you're saying don't drink caffeine before going to
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
like I forgot
I
how
have,
many hours before. But yeah, me personally, I don't drink caffeine. I just I I spent a lot of like all-nighters in college. What I'd go like, especially during finals week, I'd spend like the morning, all night, the morning in the library. Um, just studying for finals and everything like that, and midterms. Like I remember a couple times, like I'd walk out of the library and it was like 6 a.m. and I hadn't gone to bed yet, and I was on no caffeine, nothing at all, just pure, just all my mind, just like studying, 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 highlighting, writing things down. And then after that, your body just crashes. And like my dad always told me, like in the battle between sleep, sleep will always win. No matter how much you fight it, sleep will always win. So that definitely happened to me
yeah.
a lot in college. And I just remember like growing up, like we'd be watching like TV together, before bed, which technically you're not supposed to do with like the screens and everything. But we'd be watching TV before bed, and then like I'd fall asleep like on the couch, and then I'd wake up because I'm the youngest in my family. I'd wake up and like somebody had carried me to my bed, and I'd be like, "Oh, where am I?" Just like things like that. So yeah, with caffeine, just I'd say just tread very carefully. Just try not to overdo it. Give yourself at least a good couple hours before you're trying to fall asleep, and go to bed before any of that. So yeah, just be careful and see what your body responds to.
And this brings me to lifestyle,
Hmm.
modern lifestyle. I think we have so many lights and a lot of nighttime activity.
Yeah,
And there has been a drastic change. I mean, we're in the 21st century and things are not the same.
hmm,
In addition to that, you have a lot of stray, I want to say stray electricity happening all the time. You have devices plugged in, and I'm wondering, does this also impact on our ability to sleep? The excess electricity that's circulating throughout the home, in addition to all the bright lights that's still on the outside, the street
yeah,
light, the neighbors may have these big lights that they need to have around their perimeters.
yeah,
Would you say that this also affects one's ability to sleep and sleep
yeah,
well at night?
yeah. I think it definitely can for sure. Yeah, because
And the other thing too is because of our lifestyle, you have people who work in shifts. Um, how does the body adapt to some weeks you're working morning, some weeks you're working
exactly.
night, some weeks you're work. I've always thought that that was a strange way of living.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's like recommended that you're supposed to fall asleep at the same time, wake up at the same time, but as we all know, like that's a much easier said than done. Everyone's schedule is so different, shifts can change. People have different working schedules, so I think that it can definitely be hard. And like when I was learning, that thing about like alarms, I was like, well, how else am I supposed to, because my schedule is so like, it's not very consistent, it's not always the same. So me personally, I still use alarms because that's just how I find it to be, helpful in my life. But like just through research, they said that it's not recommended to do that because of that like momentarily like spike in heart rate and blood pressure. But yeah, people, like you said, people have different schedules. People, it's such, especially since the pandemic, like people's lives have changed, and just like all the electricity and everything, just all of that compounded together, it can definitely affect your sleep.
Okay, so we're talking about maintaining holistic mental health.
Hmm.
And when we hear the word holistic, we start to think that it is something to deal with the entire body, not just
Yeah,
one aspect, but the entire body. So, what exactly is holistic mental health?
yeah. Holistic, when thinking about mental health holistically, I'm thinking about how it affects your physical health, like your emotional health, your social health, your spiritual health. I'm thinking about how all those factors can affect each other, and if one is lacking, it can throw off everything else. So that's how I think of like health, like holistically. And like we were talking about, like the mind and the body, like the relationship between the mind and the body, like putting yourself in a position to have the mind relax, and just like trying to stray away from any things that can cause a lot of like brain activity right before you go to bed, so that the mind can relax, and when the mind relaxes, the body can relax. And then we also talked about how if you don't get enough sleep, you can be irritable, you can be mean, you can be grumpy, and how that can impact your social relationships. So I think all these things, honestly, they all really go together.
So, on that note, let's just talk about aromatherapy.
Hmm.
And I know you said don't watch no television and stay off your phone at night, but what about
Yeah.
aromatherapy? Can I just light up some scented candles and other things of that nature?
Yeah.
Have my room into that little throne where I just relax.
Yeah, I think for me, I love lighting candles. Some people they like to do like diffusers too, and I think like for me, my body whenever I light a candle, because in the past I've always lit candles at night, so then my body associates that with okay, it's time to wind down. It's time to put the mind at rest. So I think like I've just like conditioned my body to like anytime that I light a candle, my body's like okay, it's about time to go to sleep. So I think that through conditioning, if it may not be like immediately like off the bat, especially if you haven't lit candles before you've gone to sleep, or or you don't have like, or you've never used a diffuser before or anything like that. But like me personally, if I light one, then like my body is like, okay, we're shutting off, we're winding down, we're resting. So I think yeah, it can definitely be useful for people.
So, audience out there, you have one way. This is one way in terms of relaxing without the caffeine and the alcohol and other substances. So, you can have aromatherapy.
Hmm.
Are you familiar with which oils are usually the best to use and which oils will actually induce sleep?
Yeah, I usually I love lavender. I love like lavender and essential oils. So sometimes like I like we have a diffuser, like sometimes I'll plug in the diffuser like right before bedtime, and like lavender like helps with it can help with sleep and everything like that, and just put you in a state of like calmness, and just like like we said, like just winding down and just just like resting your mind and everything like that. So we have the diffuser, lavender candles like infused with like lavender essential oil. Like sometimes even taking a bubble bath like right before bed with what's it called? With like the bubble soap like infused with like lavender essential oil. So it's like different things that you can do to like put essential oils into your lifestyle and just see like what works best for you. So I think that they can definitely be useful. I wouldn't say like rely on them like completely, but just like with other things it can definitely be like supplemental for sure.
So, with rule out television and all the other devices, what are some of the other tools that we can use to get a good night's rest?
Yeah. I mean we talked about like praying and like meditating, like the white noise. What other tools can you use?
We just massage. I know I've had massages that just knock me out.
Oh yeah, me
And
too.
I think it is unfair that you go for a massage and you just fall completely asleep and you have to get up
Yeah,
because someone else needs to get a massage. I think they should have these rooms that when you fall asleep, they leave you and they go to another room for the other person. I just allow you to sleep.
yeah, I feel that because I was in Mexico with my girlfriends, and we got massages. It was an hour long massage, and I fell asleep through it, and then she had to wake me up, and I was like, no.
Yeah, I think it's unfair. I
I
honestly
was
think it's unfair.
like, no.
And and I'm saying this because I'm hoping that the massage therapists out there listening who say, you know what, maybe there's an opportunity
Yeah,
for me to create another room that you can
yeah,
just relax in. Then I, give you an hour, maybe charge more for it. You
yeah,
want to sleep here, I'm going to charge you to sleep here.
yeah,
But I know that that is a way to help the body really relax.
yeah.
And again, it depends too on the oils that they're using. Lavender, especially.
Hmm.
Uh, Peppermint can energize you to some extent, but it also soothes you as well.
Yeah. And I think with massages, I think that it's de-stressing the body, right? You're
Oh
releasing
yeah.
that cortisol,
Oh
and
yeah.
cortisol, the tie between cortisol and anxiety, and we talked about how anxiety can keep you up at night, and then it just, like we said, it just puts your body into that relaxing state, and it's easy to fall asleep in that because you just feel so soothed, and the muscles that have all that tension and all that tension being released. I think that yeah, massages are definitely great for sleeping too.
Mm. One of the things that I remember from childhood is community gatherings. And that's because we lived in a neighborhood where everyone was related,
Hmm.
and there was a tamarind tree, where everyone gathered, and especially after sunset, there was that gathering of older people and younger people, and just storytelling, just talking,
Hmm.
communicating with each other. And I love that. That's something that I miss from our society today,
Hmm.
where you have several generations congregating in a specific area and just having a conversation at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think about like my childhood too, because I have very close I have a very close family, and like especially for like Thanksgiving and Christmas, like sometimes we'd stay there until like 3 a.m. and like just talking and talking and talking, and we dance, we eat a lot of food, and then like
Yes.
especially when I was young I'd fall asleep. And especially especially I feel like with I feel like just across the diaspora in general, um just like I'd be asking my parents like, when are we going home? They'd say, oh, like in 10 minutes. I'd wait for 10 minutes to come. When are we going home? Oh, another 10 minutes. And then I'd be like, okay, I see that we're not going home anytime soon, because they'd just be so deeply involved in a story. Talking to my aunts and uncles, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to bed, or like I'm sleeping in my cousin's bed. I'm sleeping over because I see that we're not
Yeah.
going home anytime soon. So I think those are really just like great childhood stories, and just great experiences to have. And yeah, storytelling and just gathering as a community, especially when your family is so close knit. I think that those are really good, just good things to look back on and reminisce on for sure.
Yeah, beyond the conversation, it is the socializing
Yeah.
that really brings people that mental wellness, and that sort of comfort mentally.
Yeah.
Feeling supported. When you feel supported, you feel a sense of peace of knowing, "Look,
Hmm.
I have my tribe with me. I'm going to be okay."
Hmm.
And that for me as a child was very important.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I reflect on it and I say, "Oh, we play things like rounders together," and one cousin in particular, like the pitch marbles. And it's a grown woman playing marbles with little kids. And when I look back on that, that was very pleasurable. I do not see that today in a lot of communities. It is
Hmm.
like hustle, bustle, hustle, bustle.
Yeah. Hustle culture.
And yeah, hustle. And what we're doing from where I stand is that we're creating a separation of family. And I'm speaking from my own personal experiences, having young daughters, and you're going off to work, you barely see your children, you're gone for roughly 10 hours if you calculate the commute time. And when you get back, it's like hustle, bustle, you got so much to do.
Yeah.
It takes away that developmental bonding and passing on stories and really sharing. It creates a divide. And when I look back at my own childhood to some extent, where my mother was not at home, she was out working too. So you have to develop a lot of things on your own.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that that contributed to a lot of my personal challenges with life as an adult, not having that security. And I think
Hmm.
that, and I know I'm straying away from what we're discussing, but I think that all of this contributes to our well being mentally.
Yeah.
How we socialize with our family,
Definitely.
how we're socializing the community. Do we feel
Definitely.
safe in our environment?
Yeah, I think as humans we're meant to be very social creatures. And when you feel that you don't have that sense of security, it can definitely be detrimental to your mental health and even your physical health as well. So I think it is important, and I have many critiques about hustle culture and just like the hustle bustle, fast paced, doing this, do that. But you have to make time for the people that you love, and your family and your friends, and you have to make time for the activities that you enjoy, and your life shouldn't revolve around work. That's not the way that we're meant to live. You're supposed to go out and do your passions, and you know participate in activities that you enjoy and things like that. Like, it's not all supposed to revolve around work, and I feel like at times it can definitely feel like that, but it's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think sometimes when people think of sleep and rest, they think that they are the same thing. But I don't think they are. I think you can rest while having a game of dominoes with your friends. I think
Yeah,
that's most relaxing.
yeah.
And we've already talked about the massage and community gatherings and
Hmm.
areas where you can rest because the body
Hmm.
is not active and the mind is not active,
Yeah,
worrying about the things that you have to do, or the way things are not going for you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just think that it's important to just do the things you love, do whatever works for you. And I think that's a very important thing to know. At the end of the day, whatever works for you, whatever helps you fall asleep, and whatever you feel like helps you fall asleep and stay asleep, and you feel well rested after, just do that, especially because not one size doesn't fit all.
That's correct. One size
Yeah,
doesn't fit all.
yeah.
And I know we've moved into a different lifestyle. We have nightclubs, we have so much night activity.
Yeah, a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking about rest and sleep, but going to a nightclub might be restful for some people. You get to dance and relax and shake off all the blues from working all week long.
Hmm.
And you go into this club and you just letting all of that go. So what I'm trying to say here is that nightlife can also be a form of relaxation. Yes, you're maybe depriving the body of sleep, but when you hit a dance floor, that to me is a form of relaxation, a form of, letting
Hmm.
all the stress go.
Yeah, definitely letting all that cortisol, just releasing all that cortisol and everything from your body, for sure. Yeah, it can definitely be a form of relaxation. Yeah.
And maybe some offices probably need to play a little music every now and again throughout the day, just blast some music. It's okay, guys, it's time to get your groove on, and
Mhm.
allow staff to get up and just boogie for maybe 10 or 15 minutes,
Yeah,
have some fun. And I think that's all part of maintaining good health, being able to
yeah,
have fun, to find joy in everything that you do, to really
exactly.
embrace life from a place of peace and grace.
Exactly. And when you have a good night's sleep, you're, like we talked about, you're more productive, you're more alert. Yeah, like your cognitive health is just much better when you have that good night's rest, which can result in more productivity, more efficiency and effectiveness during work. So I think that it's definitely something that more workplaces can see, like what ways can we help our employees to make sure that they're getting enough sleep, because a lot of people are overworked these days.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are overworked, and that's the way we've been conditioned
Yeah,
to be competitive,
yeah,
and the belief that you have to struggle to get there. And I think that's another factor that plays into people not getting enough sleep, not getting enough
exactly.
rest,
Hmm.
because you're always concerned with what society determines to be a successful life. If I don't have two cars in my driveway, I'm not living the best life possible. But for me, being able to connect every day to my higher self, to have time to meditate, to have time to read a book, these are the things that are important to me. Keeping my mind balanced.
Hmm. Yeah, balance is very important.
Yeah, keeping my mind balanced, that's important to me.
Yeah,
Not competing with other people to see who can have the best and prettiest of whatever.
yeah,
And I think that's where a lot of us become stressed. I got
yeah.
to get this by this age. I got to do this by this age.
And social media can definitely factor into that. I see people my age who, I think of more successful than me. And sometimes like I am like, wow, like they're the same age as me. Like, and I don't have that. Like what's wrong with me? So I think that, social media cleanses can definitely be useful. Just go out in nature, go on hikes, just go outside and just experience nature and just focus on your own well-being. Don't focus on other people, because it can definitely be easy to compare. But everyone has their own plan. God has their own plan for everybody, and you can't compare yourself to other people. So I think that that's really important.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So there you have it. We were discussing the importance of sleep and rest in maintaining holistic mental health. And some of the key notes you would hear would be aromatherapy is good for sleep. Stay away from alcohol, stay away from caffeine at night, and turn off your devices at a certain time so that you can allow the body to relax as much as possible.
Hmm.
Be mindful, meditate, have a massage. Um, Also, be mindful of the foods that you're eating at night because that can also
Yeah.
impact your body and your mental well being.
Yeah, be mindful of what foods you're eating, and then also what time you're eating before you're planning to go to sleep. So I'd like just be cautious of anything that has like a high sugar like count and everything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I would like to thank you for joining us, Esther,
Yeah, thank you for
and
having me.
also send a warm, heartfelt gratitude to all those persons who are watching us online. Thank you for being present. And do you have any last words, Esther, in terms that you want our guests to take away? Or
Yeah, I just say like my main message is just like do what works best for you, and what makes you feel well rested, and what makes you fall asleep and stay asleep. I think falling asleep is one thing, but staying asleep is another. Making sure that you have that complete REM cycle and everything like that. So just do what works best for you, and that's all that we can do in life. And one size does not fit all. So what works for me may not work for you, and that's completely fine.
thank you, Esther. Thanks for being here. It was great having you on the show today.
Yes,
And to the audience out there, remember sleep is very important if you want to maintain that balance, not just for your mental well being, but for your physical well being as well.
exactly, because those go together.
Yeah, it's about balance.
Exactly. Balance is key here. Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us. Until next time, you've been watching Black Mental Health Matters.